Testing. And welcome to your LSU Football Fix. Exciting show tonight that I really wasn't expecting because we got some massive recruiting news. Not a commitment or anything like that. I don't want to be misleading, but you're hosting some game-changing prospects. Today's show is brought to you by Tramonte's as always. Y'all make sure to go check them out at the corner of Jefferson and Airline behind Parkview Baptist for all of your tailgating needs. We've got Will Blackwell coming on the show. I like having Will on the show because we can talk about a wide variety of comments, just take your questions, talk about, just a bunch of issues. He's a good guy, kind of like a co-hosty kind of guy. I know very well, very knowledgeable. And of course, just subtle flex. He was a All-American offensive lineman at LSU, which will be interesting because I do want to talk to him about the offensive line shuffle. Because here's a really good comment from Blaine Smith. Good evening. I predict Emory Jones will start by end of season. So talented. Dude's a mauler, but he is a true freshman, and it's just kind of rare that true freshmen truly dominate in SEC play the way you need them to. If Emory Jones comes out and is a starter, and you have two true freshmen starting on this team, future looks really bright for this team. So watch out, Anthony Bradford. That starting spot. Tremont Schwartz and Anthony Bradford have had a rough go at that spot. So we'll just have to see on that. I tend to agree that by end of season, Emory Jones finds his way on the field in some sort of spot. Not sure where. Y'all heard me all last year boldly predicting that he would be your center. Of course, we are seeing Charles Turner take that role just because he can get the snap clean, and Dellinger, of course, scoots over to left guard, who's another very young, talented player for this team. All right, let's take care of our financing before we move forward. I want to thank Tramonte's with their 30 kinds of meat and sausage ribeye rolls, and thank them for being your homegating and headgating headquarters for the 2022 season, y'all. Guys, I'm not exaggerating. It's some good stuff. Whether you're looking to throw it on your grill or take it from their grill, y'all go check them out. Don't believe me? Take a look.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Tramonte's. What's on the menu? Tramonte's. There you go, baby. Thank you for the question, Real Louisiana. LSU's going to be hosting some big-time prospects this weekend, y'all. I mean, massive prospects. Y'all do me a favor before I go into a deep dive on this. Hit that like button and share this video to all your social media, whether it be your Twitter, your Facebook groups, freaking Reddit. I don't care. Y'all go share it out because there is some big news coming on. Just before the show today, within a couple hours, I won't say just before, but both Desmond Ricks and Ellis Robinson IV announced that they'll be going to Baton Rouge this weekend. Those are both they're the top two cornerbacks in the country. According to some services, Desmond Ricks is number 2, and that's his composite rating, and Ellis Robinson is ranked as high as number 4 in the country. So 2 of the top 4 prospects in the country for the class of 2024 coming in. Y'all, that's just a massive deal. That is why Brian Kelly came to Baton Rouge, y'all. that is why he left Notre Dame, because you're not getting guys like that on your campus just casually for a Mississippi State game at Notre Dame. You just aren't. You just aren't. LSU's DBU, and that's what recruits think. Some 45-year-old man, we can all argue as much as we want till we're blue in the face, but what really matters is what those high school teenagers think, man. And that's ultimately all that matters. And all of them I talk to, LSU is DBU. Let's see here. So huge deal. By the way, huge recruiting weekend last weekend. Of course, notably Taviano, one of the top DBs in the country for the class of 2023, was on campus. So if you want to go check out how that went, we have a great story Mike did. Mike reached out to all the recruits who were on campus last weekend. Looked like it was a really good, solid class there. Y'all pop on to TigerBait.com to check out that story. Let's get to some comments here. I am going to tease real quick. The concept is, I think watching the film, looking at the numbers, quietly, y'all realize that the winner of this game this week very well might come out being considered the next best quarterback in the SEC behind Bryce Young. That's how well Jaden Daniels has played. And Will Rogers, we kind of expected to be there kind of alongside Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is not going away. He's still in the conversation. But that's where we're at. Whoever wins that matchup will be in the driver's seat. I'm going to tell you why and break down that. I'm going to get to some comments first here. Let's see here. Ali Gay and Ojulari playing this week. Yes, they'll both be playing this week, and that will help bolster LSU's pass rush tremendously, and you're going to need it. You're going to need it. Mississippi State plays a very disciplined offense that is heavily predicated on taking advantage of easy passes. Easy dink and dunk underneath passes. Will Rogers is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in FBS history. I'm not saying that because I've evaluated his passing and I think he's so great. I'm saying that because currently his career completion percentage puts him at first all time in FBS. He has the highest career completion percentage. So just on paper, he's one of the most accurate guys, but a lot of his passes are very simple, very easy, very safe. You need to put him out of his comfort zone, which is difficult because a lot of those passes are 2 seconds, quick read, boom, dink it, dunk it. So your DBs need to get involved to make sure that those quick throws aren't on the table. You're going to have to do a little bit of press coverage. You're going to have to do a little bit of trickeration and zones that slide, that are deceptful, maybe some fake blitzes where you jump into a zone and cut off that curl route or that slant route. And you have to buy the defensive line that second and a half at least, because no defensive lineman's getting to the quarterback in less than a second and a half, unless apparently you're Florida State against LSU. Then that's a different story. But I digress. It probably is going to take about 3 seconds at least. You got to get him holding on to the ball for 3 seconds and taking some throws that are out of his comfort zone if you want a chance. Hopefully Wiggins gets some playing time soon with Mason out. Quincy Wiggins has been hurt the first 2 games. I don't know if he'll be back in or not. Pork Rinds. LSU might not win another game. Well, Pork Rinds, I'm not there with you yet. But let's see. Preston came a long day since the Mike Scarborough days. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm still on Mike Scarborough's YouTube channel. Let's see here. What do we know about the State defense? That's very good. Of course, this guy is on my show every week. I don't know how to say his name, but PC. Let's go, PC. It was a rare opportunity. I got to watch the Mississippi State Arizona game after the LSU game because it was on until about 2 a.m. Now, I was sleepy and had to rewatch it, but Mississippi State's defense got after Arizona's quarterback, Delora, who wasn't any good, by the way. He was terrible. Kind of ran around, just running in circles for his life and throwing some very inaccurate throws, but they got pressure with that defensive line. They got after him, and he was not able to handle that pressure well whatsoever. Their DBs made a lot of plays, but that was mostly predicated on the defensive line forcing some, ill-advised throws. So we're just going to have to see, because make no mistake, offensive line looked better against Southern, but that's because it was Southern, and you still had some issues. I'm expecting more issues from this offensive line. Until further notice, the offensive line sucks, y'all. Until further notice. Until they show me they don't. Now, they show promise, poise, yes. Are they a good unit? No. Not until they prove me different. Now, I really like that the coaching staff has evaluated and made some adjustments accordingly, but I hadn't seen it yet against a quality opponent. So my anticipation is that Mississippi State's going to get after Jaden Daniels. Can he make accurate throws on the run? Can he adjust? We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see, because I expect him to, because I think he's been very good against pressure, but I think he'll handle it better than DeLauro, that's for sure, because DeLauro was terrible, y'all. So watch out. DBs that make plays, okay, linebackers that can cover, and a defensive line that I think will get the best of LSU's offensive line. Normal guy, hello. What's up, cousin Normal? You followed me on Twitter today, I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. I just say that it was just odd. I saw someone, Normal Guy, has followed you on Twitter, and then you see him in the chat. That's odd. What's up, man? Mark Cumby. What's up, Preston? You talked to Brian Driscoll about to ask why his team and coach suck. Irish lost some luck. I'll tell you this much. No amount of talking over someone and being a jackass will overcome a coach who's 36 years old, never coached, been a head coach before, and is 0-3 and lost to Marshall. Y'all, don't tease us. What's the big news? Hey, y'all, big news tonight is that the top two cornerbacks in America for the class of 2024, both out of IMG Academy, will be in Baton Rouge this weekend, and that is huge. Hey, bozos and South Bend, you know why Coach Kelly isn't there anymore? That's why. That's why. You think those guys are coming to South Bend? No, dude, they're coming to DBU. Desmond Ricks and Elias Robinson. Yes, that's about as big a news as you can get in recruiting, having two guys like that. On top of Jordan Taviano on campus last week. Guys, the whole Brian Kelly can't recruit scuttlebutt, it's starting to fall apart pretty quickly here. Maybe magically down the road he'll just get sleepy and tired and stop wanting to bring on 5-star players on campus. I don't know. Who knows? Who could possibly predict something like that? Anyways, I want to thank Kenny Haynes for making our suite of shows possible. Of course, we always joke he is the unofficial official lawyer of TigerBait.com because he always reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. Let's hear from Kenny Haynes, and I'm going to get right back into it. We'll have Will Blackwell in shortly after that.
Board-certified family law specialist Kenneth P. Haynes is a highly skilled and experienced trial and appeal attorney with over 33 years of experience solving real legal problems for real people, specializing in all aspects of family law, divorce, support, custody, and property. Your standards are high, so are ours. For representation in Northwest Louisiana, call attorney Kenny Haynes at 318-222-2100.
Blaine Smith with another very insightful comment here. Defensive linemen need to get a hand up and bat the ball down. 100%, because I think the offense is going to be too quick to get sacks. They hadn't been sacked very much this year, even though they've dropped back 98 times. Hadn't gotten very many sacks. Jaden Daniels, by the way, third most sacked quarterback in the conference, ahead of him. That for that very reason. I would love to see Quincy Wiggins out there so badly with his long ass arms getting after him, man. That would be great. Let's see here. The guy just see that Seth Lewis tweeted out a video of the drunk guy walking on the field. The drunk guy's trying to get back on the field. Oh, how wild was that? Baskerville should start this week. Yeah, I mean, there's only, there's 2 spots for him to fill in at. It's pretty competitive there. I don't really care about who starts versus, rotating guys in and out. That's more so what I'm interested in. All right. Is this weekend the battle for the best, the next best? Let's not get crazy, y'all. Okay, we all know Bryce Young, reigning Heisman winner, is going to be your best quarterback. I really don't care what he looked like against the first half against Texas. He won the freaking Heisman. There's nothing any guy is going to do to unseat him until further notice. Okay, battle for next best quarterback. That could very well come down to this weekend, y'all. A lot of people, I understand a lot of people have accepted that Jaden Daniels is the guy, right? And the Nuss bus is, it's gone. But I don't think they quite realize how good Jaden Daniels has been, y'all. He's completed 78.2% of his passes, y'all. That's high. Now, it's too early for that to really mean anything, because eventually there will be a game where he has to take some low percentage passes, but that's good enough for number 1 QBR in the conference. You hear that? Let's say it again for the people in the back. Number 1 QBR in the SEC belongs to Jaden Daniels. Passing. That's not like, oh, well, he ran the ball and fluffed it. No, dude. Passing. He was near flawless against Southern. In fact, he's been flawless for 8 straight drives because he scored on his last 2 drives against Southern as well. So at this point, based off of what I've actually seen, you have to assume that it was a slow start against Florida State, where things just weren't going right. The team wasn't clicking right. The offensive line combo wasn't there, and it just took a while to get adjusted with a lot of new faces. And since then, he's been cooking, because that's all the film we have, y'all. That's all we have is 5 quarters of film, and in those 5 quarters, he's been as good as just about anybody. Will Rogers was also darn near flawless last week, for what it's worth, y'all. About 50 passes, and I don't think I really saw a bad pass in there. I mean, I really didn't. He threw an interception. It wasn't on him at all. He hit his receiver in the breadbasket. Now, of course, it's not mistake whatsoever that all these passes have such a high completion percentage. They're all right on the money every single time, because they're high percentage passes. It's what they want to do. They want to read that defense, take the easy underneath stuff, check down to the running back, run trips to the right, and get a bubble screen set up. Like, a lot of what they do is, instead of like having a running game, a traditional running game, Mike Leach has said true balance is making sure all 5 skill position guys get the ball equally. So they do a lot of stuff with their passing game that is inherently a high percentage. You got to force them away from that. All right, we're going to hear from Tramonte's real quick. Y'all remember to go check them out and go let them know TigerBait sent you in. They have their lunch deli is incredible, y'all. We're going to hear from them, and then we're going to bring Will Blackwell in to give us his analysis of the Tramonte's lunch deli. We'll be right back.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Tramonte's. Will, what you know about that Tramonte's?
Know that ribeye po' boy is off the chain. And
Unbelievable.
Actually, I just had dinner, but that commercial got me a little hungry again.
It's re-hunger good. Like, you're full, but you can squeeze in enough for a little Tramonte's,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there and not finished the entire food. So
yeah, it's
Tramonte's.
Yeah, and look, that's one of the things about my sponsors. I love all of them are products like I consume all the time. It's really good stuff. Like, I'm not BSing. I'm not saying it because they're paying me to do it. It's actually that good.
Yeah, they do a good job. Let me see. I get this camera right. Sorry, man. I got to get my fantasy football trophy in the background.
Hey, show that jersey. Is that your playing jersey there?
That's one of them. over here. I'm trying to get out of the way. Everything's backwards on me. That's actually from the national championship. But
that's
I got
you
one of
didn't burn
those,
that?
and I got one of the purples.
That's pretty dope. Is that actually a fantasy trophy behind you?
Yeah, check it out,
man. Dude. I should have recruited you to my fantasy league.
No,
it's T-Bob in it.
Yeah, that's T-Bob, Josh, and Greg Shaw. That's our senior.
Yeah,
we're all in the league together. But that's our senior picture. No, don't take fantasy advice from me. We had a little discussion about Cam Akers on Twitter the other day. So.
I also drafted Cam Akers, so I guess we are equally. But I somehow won. Justin Jefferson completely bailed me out with his bajillion points, but half my team scored 0. So I guess I don't know fantasy.
It's amazing to me that Jordan Jefferson did what he did the other day. I don't understand how you don't. I just put 10 guys on him if you have to. Like, you cannot let Jordan Jefferson get 200 yards receiving. I don't.
Well, Jordan Jefferson was your former teammate.
Yeah, right? Jordan, Justin, whatever. JJ.
Now, do you ever reach out to Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan and I talk occasionally. Of course, I'm sure you're aware.
Would he be disappointed to hear you mixed him up just now? Would he be sad?
No, man, that's one of those things too. I have like 1,000 little kids, and so I always mix their names up. It's one of those things with getting old, man. The names fuse together, especially when they're so close.
I feel that on a spiritual level, man. I feel that on a spiritual level.
I called my daughter my son's name earlier, so all over the place.
Well, you have another one to the family you just added too. So
yeah, we got a little 10-week-old girl. So I got the one boy and the 2 girls now. Hopefully, one of them will be some kind of athlete.
Hopefully so, man. Hopefully
so. I mean, well, but it would be fun.
Yeah, right. I always hope I played offensive line in high school. I'm like, I somehow wish I could spawn a quarterback. That'd be cool, or maybe even like a baseball pitcher or a DB somehow. But we're behind genetically speaking.
Well, it's like winning the lottery, right? It's like there's a few people that it's going to happen to, and might as well not even worry about it happening because the odds are so astronomically small. Yeah. It's like winning the lottery. It really is, especially when you're talking about quarterback.
Well, they got a little bit of an advantage. They do have some like all-American DNA in them, so there's something.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean.
It's pass setting and run blocking DNA. Mm-hmm. It's not 60-yard bombs and fastballs painting the outside.
I know.
Well, you never know. Maybe it'll translate somewhere.
Yeah, just offensive line is just the unsexiest of just all sports, I'll say, but it's the most necessary to operate your football team.
Yeah, it's up there for sure. It's definitely one of the least sexy, most important positions out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I would love to do this question here. Talk about the dumpster fire at College Station. I would love to talk about the dumpster fire at College Station.
Oh, guys, you already know how I feel. Especially if you've ever heard me say anything about Texas A&M. Of course, the worst part about this, Preston, and I know you're all plugged in on social media, but apparently they had talked a bunch of trash with their yell leaders, and somebody got the video. Of course, next thing you know, it's in the hands of Barstool. Well, now Texas A&M's putting out a DMCA, making sure that everybody takes the video down. So they've now doubled down on their weirdness, right? Like,
just take your loss. Could you imagine like Brian Kelly going out and filing some sort of form like that because Leah Van said I'll be on time if you win?
That's about the same thing. It's a very good analogy. I mean, or the video where he was dancing with the what's the goofball kid that went to Alabama from Westgate?
Yeah, the tight end kid.
Yeah, same thing like that. We put out a DMCA and you try to get the video taken down, then you look even weirder. So it's just
it's like just take your loss and move on, man. I mean, it's not once it's on the internet, it's there forever.
Exactly. And the thing about Texas A&M is, God, it's like you've been waiting for this to happen. They talk so much and they kind of puff their chest out so much that it's kind of like, is that a false sense of confidence, you know? And clearly, after getting beat by App State in College Station, gosh, I don't know. It might be a long season for them, but I'm sure they'll come out to play this weekend, much like Alabama after their performance in Austin.
Well, did you see they're actually 5-point favorites over Miami? I don't know who that says more about.
Where are they playing?
It's in College Station. Someone double check me in the comments. I think it's in College Station. But someone double check me real quick.
It sounds like I got to take Miami with that one.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the deal. It's like Coach Saban always says, though. When a team loses a game like that and it's embarrassing, your natural reaction is to say, oh, they suck. Well, in reality, there's some good football players there, and they want to kick your ass the next week.
Exactly. Yeah, App State doesn't want to lose just because they're App State.
Am I crazy for saying that there's no way Haynes King is better than Max Johnson?
I'd be lying if I said anything because I have not watched Haynes King play, but I have watched Max play. And if you think that Haynes is worse than Max, then I don't know what Texas A&M is going to do this year.
Yeah. I don't understand it, man. Not one bit. And how the mighty have fallen. Jimbo Fisher with his quarterback development. You look at the first few guys, all the Jameis Winston and Christian Ponder, EJ Manuel and Jamarcus Russell for that matter.
I mean, the thing about that though is every one of those names that you say, I'm like, good college quarterback. Like, of course, these guys are coaching college, right? So like that's what they're looking for. They're not necessarily worried about. They want to develop their players, obviously, to build their NFL pipeline, but their main focus is not making sure these guys get drafted in the NFL. It's winning games at their respective schools, right? So,
right.
I'm not impressed with really any of those names. I mean, some of them were fairly high draft picks, but other than Jameis, none of them have really even done anything in the NFL. So that's another one of those kind of conflated. Jimbo, Texas A&M. It's kind of like the tweet they put out talking about that, and they actually who'd they put on there? Like Jamarcus Russell, Malk, and Flynn. I think were in this tweet. I think it was something to do with career earnings, quarterback wise. That had all been.
They're trying to claim everybody. All right,
exactly.
If you shook hands with Jimbo, you're on the list now.
That's exactly, and I don't want any part of that. I heard some questionable things about him, which obviously his personality.
You told me this once before. He kind of recruited you, didn't he? Like he left the year before.
Yeah, so 2006 would have been his last year, and I would have been signed in the next February. So it was like him and who else was there? Searles and a couple other guys that left after that season, but. He was there. I definitely was recruited by him some, but they unless the offensive coordinator is designated to recruit a certain area, like a defensive lineman wouldn't typically even have conversation with that guy. So we didn't have much interaction.
All right, I'm gonna put comments on the screen from Pops here. He got upset with me for not putting his comments on last week. Kelly says 3 days is not enough to prepare for the air raid attack offense, because what he said was that they run it better than what you can prepare for in 3 days.
Yeah.
Do you think that sounds reasonable, or
yeah? I mean, obviously the starters at Mississippi State are going to be better than the scout team players at LSU. I mean, that's kind of one of those, to me, maybe like coach speak type answers, like, oh, we can't get ready for this in 3 days. Well, I mean, obviously not, but you've practiced the fundamental basics of stopping that defense for almost a month and a half now. So, when you start training camp, you don't just you have teams in mind, right? Like they knew some things Florida State was going to do. They know a couple of things that probably weren't worried about Southern. They know a few things that Mississippi State's going to do. So they've schemed and practiced this a little bit. The one thing that I think is going to be a huge factor in this game really is time of possession. They do run the air raid, but they hold on to the ball just about as well as anybody in the country. Of course, for us, we've been able to score fast, so that's not necessarily soul crushing, but you can't afford to just let them keep the ball the whole game, kind of like they did in what was that, 2020? It felt like they just went up and down and up and down. And then, with that being said, you got to bend but don't break. It's okay to give up the yards if you don't give up the touchdowns. Against the air raid team, you're going to give up field goals. You're going to give up yardage. You got to be able to play in the red zone. Keep them out of the end zone. No big plays, no red zone touchdowns.
I absolutely agree, man. I got something pretty cool hitting up in my DMs. I'm trying to line up for the show here.
Hey, I got something pretty not cool. T-Bob is not my daddy. He's
was
my
gonna-
stepdaddy. Josh back.
Stepdad. Well,
Josh, why don't you go back to the drawing board?
I was actually gonna kind of hint at that. I was like, is he gonna be like? Do I have your consent to put this comment up there? Because
Yeah,
I don't know if
course.
I'd want
I mean,
T-Bob as my dad.
No, especially not if you like truly know T-Bob. No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh man, now I feel like a jerk. He's got all those daughters, man.
He does.
Oh,
I
man.
love those are my nieces, and I love them dearly, and I love T-Bob's wife dearly, and I tolerate T-Bob for the record. Josh back.
All right, sorry, I had to something really cool was happening in my DMs here for the show.
Nice.
I don't want to tease it without it going down, but I had to just send a message back to somebody real quick. But we'll see. I'm just rolling the dice out there. We shall see. So, Jaden Daniels is number 1 QBR in the SEC.
I saw that.
Kind of surprisingly. Of course, we know Will Rogers number 1 touchdowns, yards, all that. All those gaudy figure. Completion percentage is another one. He's number 1 in the SEC. My take: if the winner of this game has a good game statistically, they very well could be considered the quote next best quarterback behind Bryce Young. Am I off basis there?
No, I don't even know who the Auburn quarterback is. TJ Finley was the quarterback. I guess that's still kind of up in the air. Yeah, maybe Calzada. Who knows?
I'll tell you the candidates. It's so Hendon Hooker would be up there.
Yeah, are you talking about SEC in general or the division?
Just SEC in general. So Will Levis, Hendon Hooker. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think obviously Bryce is on a
Bryce is in a
league level. No one can even
touch
him, no matter what.
Anthony Richardson was in that category for about 4 days.
Yeah, and even I'm a little hesitant to put Levis in there, but he does have a body. He has a body of work, right? Like
but he's not like so good that you couldn't overtake him with a good game.
Now Hooker, I think, and then Hooker is a level above Levis. He can take control of a game. He kind of did in the Pittsburgh game last week. He kept them in the whole time. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler,
Spencer Rattler's been pretty bad actually.
I mean, you got Stetson. Obviously, you can't.
Yeah, and Stetson's he's your game manager for sure. And
but you're not the quarterback on the clear-cut best team in the country.
Yeah,
no reason.
But it's clearly Bryce Young and like those like 4 or 5 guys right there,
right?
That are all like good, but one could very easily separate themselves from the pack.
Yeah, so I could see Jaden in that, maybe in between Hooker and like Levis, like he could put himself, or even the what's the guy at Mississippi State's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. So
what's quarterback at Mississippi State?
Oh, Will Rogers.
So Rogers has got to be a little bit in that argument because he's got a body of work, but Daniels can do things with his feet that none of these guys except for Bryce and maybe Hooker can do. If he can buy some more time in the pocket, then he can definitely be one of those top 2 to 6 guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree
with that.
He's been an absolute stud in my opinion, especially given the struggles of that offensive line.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're watching that offensive line. What's going on there, man?
Man, they've got some shuffling around. They got a freshman at left tackle. They got a sophomore at left guard, new center. Plus, we didn't really give Florida State enough credit on the defensive line. They had a couple of transfers. Had a guy from Ole Miss that was a stud, and that's a big game, dude. I mean, you're the only game on Sunday night. You're playing in a pro stadium. You've got a brand new coaching staff, brand new quarterback, brand new everything, essentially everything. And then it comes down to some special teams plays. So in the moment, of course, everybody's heated. They're like, oh, my God, how do we lose this game? Florida State's garbage. This shouldn't happen. And then you take a step back and you look at the film and you're like, we're right there. We could win this game. This isn't like oh, my God, our season's done. We can't come back from too many mistakes. Like 5 plays, take away 5 plays, and we win that game. So that gives me a little bit more confidence going into Mississippi State. But Mississippi State's a solid team. Now we know that they're going to be well coached. They're schemed up. And like I said, we're going to have to play the long game, right? We're not going to be able to give up any big plays, and our defense is going to have to be prepared. Give up a couple third downs, but when it comes down to the red zone, field goal, field goal, field goal. Stop them from
Yeah, gotta stop them in that red zone, and hopefully you can, because their system's not hard to stop in like the very like that inside the 10 situation.
Right,
it's a little tougher.
Takes away a lot of their options in the short field. So that's kind of why you anytime you're playing a team like this, just bend but don't break. Bend, let them have 1,000 yards and 6 points.
Yeah, exactly. Rob Boudreaux, Mr. Will, I love your tweets. I also get to talk to your other teammate, Big Josh D. What's going on with Josh D?
What's up, Rob? Josh D's my boy always, and he will be at the reunion. You don't have to call me Mr. My babysitters call me Mr., and it makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
But shout out to Rob. Tell Big Josh to stop eating at Edie's next time you see him. He does it too much.
Well, Mr. Will, he brought up a good point about Josh D there. We got a lot of guys kind of rotating in and out on this offensive line, and Josh D, along with your other boy T Bob, were the goats of rotating. They played everything, man. Yeah. I mean, only thing they didn't play was left out, and
they did a good job. I mean, and that's that's kind of one of those things that we didn't have to worry about going into our last year, was that we had depth. We knew that we had 6, 7, maybe 8 guys that, all right, somebody gets hurt, plug them in, we'll be good. Yeah. And that happened. Josh tore his ACL, like the second week of camp. Mm-hmm. So we lost him right off the bat, and we never skipped a beat. But it took us 5 years to get to that point, right?
But then the next year is when he came in, played.
Next year he came in. Played.
I think he played left tackle.
Yeah, he played tackle. No, I think they switched him to right and moved Hurst to left.
Well, but Hurst quit the team. Quit the team.
Hurst was there till the Florida game, so that was like 5 or 6 games in.
Yeah.
So probably played about half an hour.
It was just absolutely wild. So my question is, when you're having to shuffle guys around like that, do you think that that hurts in terms of mastering your position?
It can.
Would it be ideal to get a lineup and roll with it?
Yeah, 100%. That's why you see 90% of the lines that have 5 guys starting, or they're leading the conference in rushing, or they're scoring touchdowns, because it's so weird, man. You have to be able to kind of you have to have some intuition about the guy next to you. And they always talk about cohesion on the offensive line and but it really is true. If you don't know what the guy next to you is good and bad at, then you can't help overcome or rearrange the way that you block someone. And that's kind of for instance, like PJ was very, very, very good at when they had a head up nose. When he had a guy on top of him, he did a great job of cutting him off. But when he had a guy that was shaded backside, he was terrible at giving me a hand so that I could come and scoop that guy out. But I knew that. And that came from us practicing together the same play 1,000 times. I knew that when he had to get to that front side linebacker, he was going to leave me hanging on the nose. So I had to get there. And I also knew that when he was head up, he was going to take care of that guy so I could climb to the next level. And it's just little things like that, man, that you don't really see in a game that only those guys know, because they know the play and they know the scheme and the call. But it's little things like that. It's just learning how to play. It's like learning how to teaching these kids how to share. It's just like to the max. Man,
I tell you what, you talking about all that, like unlock core memories for me. Having played at a slightly lower level than LSU, high HSAA football, when I lost my left guard, it's like me and my left guard, man. Right guard. We had like chemistry. Like I knew how he wanted to block guys.
Yeah.
He knew what I was going to do. Yeah. He knew when a blitz was coming, I was going super wide and he was going to have to compensate. Those little things, like, you just can't talk about. Like, it just makes sense when you're on the field. And then they slapped in about, 4 or 5 new guards that season, and every single one of them just did things differently.
Well,
just blah.
It could also be something as simple as like the understanding of the scheme or the understanding of the play, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of the game against Florida State and you're down by whatever, 8 points, and the new guy comes in at left guard, and he's like, hey, what do I do on this play? What do I do on that play?
Right.
I mean, things like that happen, or the center struggles to call the mic because he hadn't been playing center but for 3 weeks. Like, that kind of stuff happens, and when it happens against a good team, you're in trouble. So I kind of hope that all that has been calmed down, kind of suppressed, and that by now kids are focusing on like going out there and implementing the scheme to the max, as opposed to being a little bit nervous, a little bit uneasy about how things are going to go.
Yeah, no doubt. But my overall take from the Florida State game was that was a team that looked like it was breaking in 50 or so new faces. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
and like
100%.
Those guys just needed to learn how to play together.
Yeah.
And they weren't there yet. And I don't necessarily, I kind of, it's one of those deals where if Brian Kelly goes on to say win 9 games this year and then next year has, keeps on going up, wouldn't it be very easy to sit there and say, well, it really wasn't his fault. Guys just weren't meshing yet. They hadn't played football together yet. And there was more new faces than, quite frankly, LSU's ever had.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's twofold. One is if we took the Alamo Bowl tape and compared it to the Florida State tape, we would say, oh, my God, we've gotten better. Okay? And so that's the thing. Right before camp, I think everybody just got so hyped up on the season and on everything. And of course, we let the national media get our hopes up. But right before the season is when all this turned up. Like during the off season, we kind of were all saying, all right, man, we got to have some time. We got to take a break. And I think it's Florida State's recent history that got us all hyped up. And we thought this team lost to whatever, Jackson State a couple years ago. We're going to trash them. Well, no, they've been getting better. Like you said earlier, they want to win just as bad as we want to win. So they're not going to slack off. My point is that it takes time, and we have progressed. It's not Brian Kelly's fault or issue until we see that it's not fixed, right? So, like, if they come out against Mississippi State and guys are still missing blocks, well, let's take a look at that next week. And if it happens 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, start thinking about coaching. But for now, it's still early. Of course, as long as we don't go out and get just blown out by Mississippi State, I think it'll still be okay. I don't think the disparity in the league is as vast as it has been. I think that there's Alabama and Georgia, and anybody else can kind of make a play.
I'm gonna just go ahead and put a correction. There's Georgia, Alabama, then everybody else. Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not buying into this. I'm not doing that. I'm not do this all the time. I'm not
You're not
saying
buying
anything.
into defending champs. I don't know, man. They look pretty darn good to me.
Whatever. Beat Alabama.
Edwin Taylor threw out a name. I mean, yes, we all KJ Jefferson at Arkansas is of course up there too.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point though. Is they're all in that very tight pack.
Yeah. There's the once you start getting to Jefferson though, it's like when the game is on the line, you got to put the ball in somebody's hand. You don't know that he's going to win the game. You think maybe that guy's got a good shot, and he's probably better than a lot of options, but it's not the same as like Stetson or even Levis or Rogers. Like I would trust those guys way more than I would Jefferson. Now that might just be a matter of me having not seen as much of him play, but if you go back to last week, I mean, didn't really get it done, especially late. So. He's definitely I'll put him in there in that whatever 2 to 6, 7 range.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, that 2 to 7 is very close. So one quarterback could very easily. I'll tell you what, we know for a fact Jaden is that he's got that dog in him when he needs it. We saw that against Florida State. Let's not mince words here. I'm not shying away from this. That was one of the most impressive drives I've ever seen.
Well,
I mean. Against anybody, that's impressive in that situation.
Now, I didn't get to see it. I got called into work. Had to be in a surgery, so I left at halftime thinking, "Oh, this is gonna be okay," and then had to be updated.
Wait, were you at the game?
No, I was at my house watching. I was on call, so I got called in. Had to go do a surgery, and I caught the entire second half on Twitter updates.
Oh, you did get to watch a replay of it?
I mean, I did, but it's just still like
It's just not the same.
I've watched it once, but if we'd have won, I'd be like, oh yeah, I watched that 15 times.
Yeah.
But since we lost, I'm like, oh, whatever, that sucks.
He went 99 yards with 90 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I know the specifics, and that alone is that's more than Jefferson's done. I mean, Jefferson, especially this year. So there you go. There's the argument for ranking Daniels above him.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we weren't talking about your former quarterback, Jordan Jefferson, because that's where my brain went when you said KJ Jefferson. Right, not that KJ's not a good Jefferson.
Not that KJ's not a good
right, but he's never done anything like that. Most guys haven't.
No, that's the point you're trying to make. Yeah, for sure.
So that I think he's not getting nearly enough credit just because they missed the extra point. He's not getting nearly the credit he deserves on that.
So while we're here, do we all feel the same about potentially going for 2, or has that kind of been? Because I've got a doctor that's an Ole Miss fan. Shout out to Dr. Nipper. I know you will never see this, but he's been giving me grief for the last 13, 14 days, whatever. It's not 12 days about not going for 2. And, as a guy who's won and lost by the 2-point conversion, big games, I got to say, I think we probably should have gone for 2.
Okay. Number one, we can both agree that it's one of those hindsight 2020 ordeals.
Obviously. Right? Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Also, they did have a blocked kick earlier in that game that should have raised some eyebrows. Okay, and maybe our likelihood isn't as good as we think.
And they had a guy one guy through, and they should have blocked 3 kicks. They missed one. Right. They blocked the second and then blocked the third. So
you should have been able to recognize that and said, yeah, there's some problems. It's funny the Bengals lost the same way.
The same exact way did the LSU.
The Reed Ferguson and Blake, boy, they got some big pay raises from that game, didn't they?
Of course,
the long snapper got hurt.
Now that you bring up that point, everybody, when you go on a 9 or what was it 9? Would you say 9 plays, 99 yards? Is that what the last drive was?
It was 90 seconds. Okay. And
either way, think about all the adrenaline, all the everything that's going on. You're like, oh my God, we just scored. Yeah. And it's almost like it's instinct or just reaction. All right, kick the field goal. Kick the field goal.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. In the press box, I was chomping on hot dogs and Diet Coke, and my heart was beating out of my chest with adrenaline. Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. I could never be a coach because in the heat of the moment up in the press box, with my heart beating, the thought of going, I didn't understand that 2-point conversions existed.
Yeah, you're like, what is it?
When they scored the touchdown. I just assumed the game is going to overtime automatically.
You and Nathaniel Hackett must have a lot in common.
I guess so, man. I would like to think that I could do a slightly better job than that debacle.
I mean,
that was.
While we're on coaching critiques,
is Nathaniel Hackett just a rebrand for your old bowl coach, Les Miles? Is he in disguise?
That's exactly what it seemed like last night. Talking about they're the, and I'm sure whoever watched this game, I'm sure you saw the stat. They're the first team since 81 to fumble the ball twice from the 1-yard line. Think about how many NFL games have happened since 1981. Think about how rare that is. How do you let that happen twice? How do you go from the shotgun at the 1-yard line and hand the ball off?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The last 8 days of football that I've watched have been some of the wildest freaking days of football I've ever seen.
That NFL Sunday, the entire Sunday was just
kickers in college and NFL apparently just can't make kicks. I mean, the Colts cut
they cut Rodrigo?
Yeah, they cut Rodrigo because he missed an easy kick in overtime, and they had a tie.
Yeah,
and we saw the Young Hua Koo missed his game winner. Of course, that's much more reasonable, but the fact that it was blocked makes it odd.
You know who didn't know?
Who did?
Mr. Cheesy himself, Cade York, dog.
Oh, dog, Cade York.
Cade York. I wish he would come back.
He's got that dog in him.
I mean, he really does. That's a true. He is an example of the savage that can come out of somebody when they go to LSU. He I mean, dude's a beast. So
yeah.
Please come back, Cade.
Yeah, Coach Polian would knew what he was talking about when he went to the podium. He goes, "You know, y'all been spoiled at kicker."
Yeah, exactly. Y'all did have like the 4th round draft pick kicker.
Yeah, it's just it's unreal how, and that was what, a 60 plus. So it's like either incredible kicker play or abysmal kicker play. That's all we get. Even in the Baylor
BYU.
Baylor BYU game, they were missing kicks. It's just I don't know. Football was drunk. It was just drunk. I don't know. I have no other way to put this. Speaking of, that's why you come to LSU. Did you see the notable two boys coming to campus this weekend?
I have not seen that yet. You're not talking about me and my dad T-Bob, right? You're talking about.
Oh, are you going to be on campus this week?
2011.
It's the reunion of that team.
I'll be a guest captain, so we'll be in the stadium trying to get the guys hyped to beat the
I'll have to come dap you down, man.
Yes, bro, for sure. We'll be there all weekend. We're
all right.
Never been excited for something like this.
All right, don't bail on me. I'll hit you up. But anyways, okay. So they're bringing in the top 2 cornerbacks for 2024. Desmond Ricks, no relation to Eli Ricks.
Thank God.
Right. And Ellis Robinson. That's the number 1 and number 2 corner in the country. Some polls have them as high as number 2 and 4 overall player in the country.
Wow.
Do you think that's why Brian Kelly might have left Notre Dame? You think Notre Dame's got kids like that coming on their campus?
To the Mississippi, like to a random,
like just a regular game, right? Conference. You don't even have a conference game at Notre Dame. But you think those kind of kids are just showing up to just, I don't know, your 6th most important game of the year?
Not in the same weekend, for sure.
Yeah.
No, Notre Dame, talk about
now, they're IMG teammates, in all fairness, but
but still,
LSU's DBU.
LSU is DBU. Everybody knows that. If you really want to be first round draft pick DB, I was looking the other day and I saw. Of course, I didn't forget about this guy, but he has had some injuries and stuff. I'm just watching Red Zone. I'm like, oh, there's Grant Delpit. He went to LSU, so it's like all the names that you think about as the big time guys.
It's unreal.
Tyron, Tre'Davious White, like all these guys, and then there's Grant Delpit. Imagine how unreal that is. That Grant Delpit's just kind of like another
just a
guy.
Subtle,
Jamal Adams,
winner.
Another guy that went to LSU. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, just throw it in your closet with the rest.
Every good team has an LSU defensive back on them.
It's unreal how much, and that's why Brian Kelly left a program like Notre Dame. That is why he's here. And that is why Marcus Owen Threeman is at Notre Dame. Anyways, do you take LSU to win the game?
Yes, I do believe that LSU can win the game. I was telling somebody the other day, I feel like every year, every couple of years for sure, there's always a game where LSU seems like the underdog, and then it's just like some crazy hot day. You think it's going to be just a game. And then you're losing, and DJ Chark runs the punt back, and all of a sudden you're back in the game. And then you come back and you beat Auburn, and it's like this crazy game that only the people that were there really remember that it happened. But every single year there seems to be one of those games where it's like, man, you remember that? Remember that game where whatever happens, and it ends up being a special game? I think this could be that game. Maybe that's me being a little bit biased with like the reunion and everything. Right. But there is, for me, still some of that Tiger Stadium LSU lore left, and you just never know when it's going to come out, man.
No doubt about that. I don't think it's going to come out this weekend. I'm going to be the bad guy. Get ready for this. Mississippi State brings back 16 starters. That's a veteran squad. Yeah. LSU is got a lot of guys learning how to play football with each other still, shuffling the offensive line, still having some issues there. Mississippi State got a ton of pressure on DeLaura at Arizona last week, and I think I'm basically assuming if they can do it to Arizona's offensive line, they're going to do it to LSU's offensive line. I think Jaden Daniels is going to handle it better than DeLaura. I think Jaden Daniels is going to hang 28 points on him. I just think
28 points will win.
I think they're going to hang 34. I think it's 34-28. I think, like you said, they're going to stall in the red zone a couple times, but they're going to get it done. I think losing Mason Smith hurts tremendously with that freakishly long, those limbs that look like they came off a giraffe or something like that. Like, it's wild how this kid is built physically.
I can't believe this dude hurt his ACL celebrating. Anyway,
I cannot believe that, but I watched that first drive over, and he was a freak of nature on every play.
As soon as he jumped in the air, I was like, no.
He was about to be the best freaking defensive tackle in the country this year. He was unbelievable.
Of course, another thing that we hadn't mentioned yet. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, but we get Emery back, right?
Yeah, Emery Jones.
No, John Emery.
John Emery Jr. Yeah, I don't know why I went to. Yeah, he's back. That's a huge deal in my opinion.
So there's if you're talking about us losing by 6, like that could be a difference.
That's a huge deal, I think. But
that's another piece of the puzzle for us that it's been non-existent. We have not run the ball at all. Emery's a good running back. That is something that will help take off the pressure, 1 on Daniels and 2 off the offensive line. If you can get Will Campbell and Dellinger coming downhill, maybe get a couple good blocks, reel off some 10, 12 play runs, that's going to be a different ball game than it's been just trying to run and gun, keep up with this team and outscore them. I want to see them show a little bit of control, man. Take a little bit of control of the situation. Who cares if Mississippi State's got a bunch of veterans? Like Will Campbell is one of the best offensive linemen we've ever recruited at LSU. Dellinger was also an extremely high recruit. So these guys, it's time to put up or shut up, right? It's first game, SEC game in Tiger Stadium. It's going to be technically a night game, I guess. It will turn into a night game.
It will eventually become night,
yeah, so it's actually kind of cool how it'll be like a dusk, late afternoon game. It'll be a completely different experience than it was even last week for these guys. God, and I just got to think that Emery's going to come out and just lights out. Dude's is like a thoroughbred that's just like, all right, man, you're going to get the race next week.
Right.
I think he's just like,
Brian Kelly likes to rotate his dudes more than he's been able to. And that's been a problem in how he likes to run his system. So I think John Emery helps a lot. I just think Mississippi State's a pretty good team. I don't have Mississippi State as low as a lot of other people. I think Mississippi State's going to beat teams like Ole Miss. I think Mississippi State's right up there with Arkansas. I think that's why my opinion is different here. I think it's going to suck because LSU's going to start 1 and 2, and you're going to get all the comments. The comments you're going to get, and it's going to suck. But I do think LSU's going to end up being a good team this year, just not like championship competing. It's going to have a rough start, and that's always frustrating. I'm going to get to a couple sponsors, and we'll be right back to wrap up the show with a few more comments. I want to thank Dead Soxy for sponsoring tonight's show. Dead Soxy is excited for football season returning. They are celebrating with a chance to score a free pair on their website. Visit DeadSoxy.com and fill out the form to get started. You'll be alerted when new styles drop and receive information about exclusive promotions. Also, don't forget to visit Team Colorways page to see your favorite color combinations, such as the one on the screen right now. Also presented by Celebrity Theaters. If you remember the old Oak Cinema 8 out there on George O'Neill and Jones Creek, it ain't no old beatdown theater anymore, y'all. It's been freshly renovated, leather seats, recliners. They're locally owned. Because they're locally owned, you're guaranteed to see a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, and state-of-the-art technology for the game, y'all. They are put the wrong graphic up for a second. For the game, y'all, they are hosting a free watch party in one of their state-of-the-art Dolby Atmos sound system theaters. Nacho drink specials, as you can see here, $10 for that. They have daiquiris, they have frozen drinks, they have a bar. Y'all go check them out. It is free cover for the game, so y'all go pop in. What you know about that Oak Cinema 8? You go back that long to Baton Rouge?
Of course, yeah.
No, you don't know nothing about the Oak Cinema 8. No, it was an old beat up theater that I grew up going to all the time, man. It was really awesome. A piece of junk.
They revamped it and they're watching.
Oh yeah, wait, let's see. Hold up. I actually run into T-Bob there a lot because I don't know. He does like some sponsorship stuff with them too. Let me see here, and he knows more about the sound system than I do. And I'm like, are you like one of those audiophile? He's like, oh no, man, we just have to tour this. All right, look, here you go. See on the left here is their Baton Rouge location, y'all. Okay. Freshly renovated, as you can see. It looks new. I don't personally go to a movie theater unless they have reclining leather seats nowadays. Like yeah, I've become spoiled. Like I am that stereotypical millennial now when it comes to theaters.
Oh, don't let Scarborough hear that.
Yeah, we got another night of the Millennial Beard Club running amok in here.
Hey, Mike, if you're listening, hey there. Thanks for having us.
No clue John Emery would be the answer this week. I hope so. I don't know if he's the answer so much as like a piece that you desperately need.
And the thing too that really takes pressure off of an offensive line, in my opinion, for what it's worth, being able to throw the ball to the running back out of the backfield. And you see it so much, and even with Alabama, Bryce Young, he's not scared to check it down because when he checks it down, they're getting 5 and 6 yards. That safety valve is not really something that we've had because our other guys can't really catch the way that Emery can. It's about being smooth and kind of not missing the step while you're catching the ball. It's really hard to do. I would imagine. I've never done it. But those guys make it look easy. So I'm excited. I think Emery's definitely going to be a nice change of pace, if nothing else.
You and Will have good flow. Let's see. Can you fit in the back of an old Jeep Cherokee?
Yeah, dude, of course. I can get small. Right. I'm big, but I can get small.
Okay, so you fresh off of celebrating your 2011 team in Tiger Stadium, you'll hop in the Jeep with us. We'll squeeze you in the middle for our post-game show.
Let's do it.
Let's just do me and you. I don't even want to hear from Mike. Like, let him just drive.
He can. Can he drive well? Will he
not
be,
really.
He'd be like
not
DB?
Really. No, not really. But it's the best we got. I mean, what is he worse? It's about priorities. Like, is he worse at driving or sports talk? I can't really figure it out. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Hopefully driving. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you. After the game last week, man, we went down River Road. So I have my laptop on my iPhone tethered for internet. There's no Wi-Fi on River Road, and we're stuck in an hour of traffic. So only his phone could connect. So we had his phone for the camera and all these like comments, this stuff I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Not happening.
I was just like a comment was stuck up for 30 minutes. It just is what it is.
Just the lag.
Yeah. It was rough. But we had a good time on the show nonetheless.
Oh, it matters, bro.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we made it work. We'll be taking a new route home.
I like what sad LSU fan has to say about the game. So we can beat Mississippi State the same way we did last year. Simple. Yeah. Mississippi State sucks when you think about it. we just got to suck less. That's all I have to do.
Let me tell you this. The same way as last year involves an entirely new football team. Like, who is left from who stopped that Mississippi State team last year? Think about that.
Baskerville.
Yeah.
BJ, I don't even want to say
BJ, yeah.
And
a new system, though. Right? BJ's playing outside backer now. He was a 4-3 defensive end last year.
But he will be playing.
He will be playing. Ojulari and Ali Gay will be back.
Gay.
Yeah, those guys help a ton. Don't get me wrong.
You mean weapon-wise.
Yeah.
You're right. We have a tremendous amount of turnover, and that's what I tried to go back to earlier. We got to realize that we're just honestly lucky to have 75 scholarship guys and to have a full team.
No doubt.
And even think about being competitive. I don't think there are a lot of head coaches out there that could have turned our mindset around that quickly.
Right. No doubt. All right. Well, this has been Will Blackwell on your LSU Football Fix, friend of the show. Glad to have him. He'll be in Baton Rouge this weekend. Will, tell them where they can follow all your hot takes and terrible fantasy advice.
At WillieB60, and I get retweeted by Preston Guy a lot. So if you follow Preston, my good tweets.
All right, there it is, guys. All right, thank you, Will. Y'all have an excellent evening. Y'all check out TigerBait.com for all of our updates. Hit the like and subscribe button on the video. Hit that bell to get updated for all our live videos. Y'all have an excellent evening.